Here is the secret to breaking out of a poverty mindset.
I have a great privilege of speaking about my money journey and just sharing some tidbits for y'all. The money doesn't just live in our bank accounts; it lives in our beliefs. And if you don't understand the story you believe about money, you will keep repeating it, no matter how much you earn. As Proverbs 23:7 tells us, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Before money ever moves your life, mindset does. I was raised by a full-time single mom. We didn't shop for new clothes. We shopped sales, clearance racks, and coupons. We didn't go on yearly summer vacations or have elaborate Christmas. In fact, I remember clearly one year that our Christmas was put on by the Salvation Army because we lived in such poverty and money was so tight and lack was my normal. And without realizing it, scarcity became a belief system which turned into a poverty mindset. Scripture tells us in Deuteronomy 8:18, remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth. Now, I didn't grow up believing that or even in church. I grew up believing survival really was the goal. And then when I got my first job, I felt relief. However, I didn't know how to steward the money well. Then I was blessed and joined the army and had steady income every 2 weeks and slowly started to living on my own at 19, realizing that money was really in my control and what I spent it on and what I didn't. And then so I had security. And after my medical discharge, I didn't fall apart. I built. I had a great civilian job. In 2012, I started a cleaning business that became very profitable. And I founded a nonprofit called Gizmo's Gift. And we traveled across America serving military working dogs and their handlers. I was working, I was creating, I was serving. But here's the truth. You can't be productive and not be aligned. And Proverbs 16:3 tells us, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. I was committed to working, but not fully partnering with God in the plan. Then life shifted. In 2021, I became a mom and I walked away from my profitable business under the hopes of being a stay-at-home mom. And eventually I became a full-time single mom after an almost year-long custody process. I had to take out a home equity mortgage just to keep my daughter and me afloat her first year of life. And I rebuilt a successful career and then was laid off not once, not twice, but 3 times within 18 months. And unfortunately, I had to live off my IRAs. I faced fear. I faced the unknown. But Psalm 34:19 says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Deliverance doesn't always look immediate. Sometimes it looks like development. This is where everything changed. I realized something powerful. If I wanted to rewrite my money story, not only for me, but for my daughter and the generations to come, why wouldn't I invite the creator of money into it? Psalm 24:1 says, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. And in Matthew 6:33, Jesus tells us to seek first the kingdom and God's righteousness, and everything else will be added. God isn't allergic to finances. He's the source of provision. So I stopped asking God to bless my plans and started asking him to lead them. That's when I fully stepped into my calling and founded She Will Rise, a coaching ministry rooted in identity, purpose, and kingdom stewardship. And now expanding to a coffee shop, drop-in daycare and prayer house, and pay what you can to offer rest to tired mamas like myself. I'm not standing here financially finished. In fact, God is rebuilding me as we speak. It's messy and oh so beautiful as well. And when I said yes to him in October, just a couple months ago, to turn She Will Rise into a full-blown nonprofit, financial blessings poured in, over $5,000 in climbing. So I'm standing here aligned. I'm standing here in his peace and rebuilding. Jesus said in Luke 16:10, whoever is faithful with the little will be faithful with much. Financial freedom doesn't begin with more money, it begins with better stewardship. Here are the 5 kingdom principles that transformed my money story. So first, number 1, absolutely is mindset. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind is what the Bible tells us in Romans 12:2. Hold every thought captive to the Lord. If it's not edifying, uplifting, or speaks life, y'all let it go. Scripture also tells us in 1 Timothy 6:10 that the love of money is the root of all evil, not that money is bad. Money or wealth can corrupt a pure heart and mind. In Genesis 2, we see God establishing that gold is good and natural and symbolizes provision. You can't build abundance on a scarcity mindset. Stop asking, do I have enough? Start asking how I can steward what I have. What can I create? Money follows belief. What are you believing about money? Number 2, clarity creates freedom. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. Most people aren't bad with money. They're blind to it. Track your money, know where it goes. Clarity removes anxiety. If you don't write it out, if you don't track it, you can't steward it well. And that really goes for anything in your life. And number 3, eliminating debt and creating margin. Proverbs 22:7 says, the borrower is the servant to the lender. Margin restores choice. Stop buying things you don't need, only what is truly needed to live. So, not the things that you want. So, example, limit or pause vacations until there's a greater margin. Don't get on Amazon. Prime Day deals are just to suck you in and get your money. Don't if you don't have that margin. Debt is the thief of possibility. Margin is the oxygen of financial freedom. Number 4, save and invest with wisdom. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise store up choice food and oil. Small, consistent savings can change the next decade of your life. You don't need a lot, you need consistency. And talk to a financial planner on where to invest. Purpose over provision is number 5. Matthew 6:21 says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Money is a tool. When your money serves your purpose, peace shows up. Freedom means choosing what matters most, not buying what impresses others. Align your heart with God. And lastly, if you're not tithing, I would highly encourage you to start. That is the one place in the Bible and scripture that God says test him on it. So you may be asking, what are some actionable steps? Here are a couple. Number 1, the 10-minute money audit. Open up your bank app, list the last 10 transactions, and ask, does this align with the values or my emotions or where God is calling me to be? This alone brings huge clarity. Then do it again with the next transactions and the next 10. And then the next step, or the next number 1 to do is the 1% faith step. Save or invest 1% consistently. It builds discipline without overwhelm. So say if you bring in $4,000 a month, that's $40 a month that you're going to save or invest. And then the purpose question, before spending, ask, does this align with who God is shaping me to become? Number 4, create a 3-item financial vision. Write down one thing to eliminate, one thing to build, and one thing to invest in. These are simple and sustainable. And then if you need a little bit, if money is too tight where you don't have much, like wiggle room, think about 60% needs, 10% giving, 10% saving, and 20% everything else. Your money story is not your destiny. Psalm 37:23 says, the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. You can start again. Your money story is not set in stone. It's rewritten every time you make a new decision. You can rebuild. You can partner with God and rewrite your money story, because the same God who formed the world absolutely will help you steward your finances. And I promise you, the better you get at stewarding, the more he will give you and place into you, because you are proving to him that you can handle the little. And so then he will give you the more. And when God is the author, the ending is always better than the beginning. So I encourage you to step into everything that the Lord has for you. He does not want you to live in lack. He is here to give you an abundant life. Trust him and trust walking hand in hand. Turn your finances over to the Lord. Pray about them. That's one thing I do with my daughter every single night. One of the prayers I pray over her is, Lord, I pray a blessing over her finances, over her family's finances, and the people who will be in whatever businesses or whatever financial aspects of her life to come. I pray a blessing over, even over the future and over my finances, and she will rise. And so I encourage you to pray about where your money goes and to ask the Lord to show you what to illuminate and what to invest in, and start tithing if you're not tithing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
And every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.